Good Sunday afternoon, everyone. Breaking news is happening right now on 12 News this Sunday afternoon at 3 o'clock. After weeks of pressure to step aside from leaders in the Democratic Party in just the last few hours, President Joe Biden says that he will end his presidential re-election campaign. The announcement coming just months before Election Day. The 46th President of the United States breaking the news in a statement posted on X, formerly known as Twitter, saying in part, quote, "While it has been my intention to seek re-election, I believe it is in the best interest of my party and the country for me to stand down and to focus solely on fulfilling my duties as president for the remainder of my term. I will speak to the nation later this week in more detail about my decision." Good Sunday afternoon, everyone. I'm Jonathan McCall alongside 12 News political journalist and Sunday Square Off moderator Bram Resnick with this very historical day in U.S. history. The president going on to say that with his stepping down, he does plan to endorse his vice president, Kamala Harris, as the Democratic lead for the presidency. How important and how big was it for him to say who he wanted as his successor?
Whether there are any other Democrats willing to challenge her, or whether any delegates or office holders will try to inspire challenges on their own, a contest, as you were, for the nomination at the convention in late August.
And speaking of that money that you were talking about, that war chest, already we have seen from the Federal Election Commission, the Biden for President campaign has now switched over to the Harris for President campaign. So right now they are already moving full speed ahead with getting this done. So a lot of changes, as we mentioned, going to come in the next 24 to 48 hours. We've already seen a number of big names come out and throw their support behind the vice president. But there are also some other names we have not heard from yet who have not signed off on their endorsements quite yet. We've talked about the Democratic Party has a very short window that they have to literally get their ducks in a row as they try to take on Donald Trump as they mount this challenge in November. If you have kind of some deflections, you have some folks maybe who are hesitant on the fence, how do you really unify the party? How do you rally them in order to have that unified message? How do you think, moving forward, Vice President Kamala Harris has visited Arizona many times in the last year. I believe it's 5 times that she's been here. The last 2 times, I believe she was here last month or the month before in Tucson. Before then in Phoenix, she had a message for the Biden campaign talking about freedoms, specifically reproductive freedoms. She's also been in Flagstaff at NAU talking about education that the Biden administration has done as well. So clearly she has made Arizona a pivotal place to be. Now with her at the top of what could be the Democratic ticket, how does that play into the election here for Democrats in November? We do have a statement now from former President Donald Trump saying, reacting to the news of President Joe Biden dropping out of this race, saying that, quote, "Crooked Joe Biden was not fit to run for president and is certainly not fit to serve and never was. He only attained the position of president by lies, fake news, and not leaving his basement. All of those around him, including his doctor and the media, knew that he wasn't capable of being president, and he wasn't. And now look what he's done to our country, with millions of people coming across our border totally unchecked and unvetted, many from prisons, mental institutions, and a record number of terrorists. We will suffer greatly because of his presidency, but we will remedy the damage he has done very quickly. Make America great again." That statement coming from former president, the 45th president, Donald Trump, on the news that current president Joe Biden has now dropped out of the race. We want to continue our conversation right now with Mesa Mayor John Giles, who joins us live in studio this afternoon. Mayor Giles, we appreciate you coming to talk to us about this. Again, a very historic day in our country. We've had a lot of those in the last month or so. It seems like when we have one tops the other. Just your initial reaction, your initial thoughts on the president dropping out today. What do you take away from what's going to unfold in the next 90 days or so? As you mentioned, these are unprecedented times. We've never seen something like this really unfold so close to Election Day. How do you think this will play out?
This is going to be fascinating. I was
going to say, if I'm a voter, if I'm undecided, if I'm still, on the fence about what could happen in November, this really is going to be the best reality show out there.
Speaking for some of those voters who I've heard from, they're not crazy about
Either,
about all
yeah.
this.
Let's talk about weather right now, because in addition to tracking breaking news, we are also tracking some breaking weather right now this Sunday afternoon. Monsoon storms popping up in the valley. Meteorologist Stella Sun with a live look at radar at what she's seeing right now. Hey, Stella.
Yeah.
All right, Stella, thanks so much. If you are just joining us right now at the bottom of the hour this Sunday afternoon, you are watching live team coverage of breaking news right here on 12 News. President Joe Biden has just announced in the last few hours that he plans to drop out of the race for the White House in November. That news coming, making that statement on social media on the platform X, formerly known as Twitter. This coming after weeks of mounted pressure from folks within his own party, calling on for him to drop out of the race after that debate, that first presidential debate with former President Donald Trump, where a lot of folks had some questions about his mental acuity, whether or not that he was ready for the debate. The president said, I was sick, I had a bad night, but that clearly just was not enough to quell Democrats who are really concerned about losing the White House in November. In addition to President Joe Biden dropping out of the race for the White House this Sunday afternoon, we are also tracking monsoon storms. And matter of fact, in just the last few seconds, if you heard our phones going off live here on the air, we're now tracking some dust warnings that are coming into the valley as storms move closer. 12 News meteorologist Stella Sun in the building this afternoon, tracking it all for us and where things stand right now. Hey, Stella.
Thanks for that, but for right now, I'm going to send back over to you guys.
All right, Stella, Sun, thanks so much for tracking all of that for us. Our weather impact team coverage continuing this Sunday afternoon. We are live on the roads in the far north part of the valley right now, tracking those storms as they come closer to Phoenix. 12 News journalist Chase Golightly inside of the 12 News storm tracker with a look at what he's seeing right now. Chase. News journalist Chase Golightly trying to bring us live coverage of weather that is moving in through the valley. Obviously, he's running into some issues with those storms as they're rolling into our area, creating a little bit of issue. But we're going to continue our coverage here on air this afternoon. As the big story we are discussing, President Joe Biden has decided to end his reelection campaign bid after weeks of calls from within his own party to drop out of the race, to pass the torch. It seems he has done so, giving his seal of approval to his vice president, Kamala Harris. The Biden-Harris ticket no more. Just in the last hour, the Federal Election Commission now says the Biden for president campaign is now the Harris for president campaign. So they are moving quickly and full speed ahead, Bram.
Yeah, it's the Harris-TBD campaign as we wait to find out
who's going to be the other half
with the vice presidential.
It's amazing to think about how the political news has literally changed in just a matter of 3 weeks. Last week, we were talking about the attempted assassination of a former president. We were then talking about the Republican National Convention taking place in Milwaukee just a few days ago, and now we're dealing with this as well. Have you ever seen anything like this before, covering politics in all of your years?
Not even close. Come on. Not even close. Not even close. But I think we have some important weather news to get to right now. Ooh, look at those pictures. We're going to see them in just a sec.
All right. As we were saying before, in addition to our breaking news, we're also tracking weather as well. This is a live look from the 303 and North Olive Avenue. You can see dust now blowing into the area as monsoon storms continue to blanket the valley. And you can see, look at that. They tell you all the time, don't drive through that dust. And now you can see why. This is a live look at that area. It appears that folks have now stopped on that area right there at the 303 as that dust continues to blow through that area. It appears on the far right lane, some of the traffic has stopped. Folks continue to be driving on the further lanes. But again, that dust moving in, a dust storm warning was in effect just a little while ago. 12 News meteorologist Stella Sun here right now. Stella, do we know if that warning is still in effect right now?
That warning is still in effect, Jonathan.
All right, Stella, thanks so much. We want to continue our breaking news team coverage this afternoon. The big story, President Joe Biden has announced that he will no longer seek re-election for the White House. Joining us live on the phone to talk about that news this afternoon is current Arizona Congressman and former Phoenix Mayor Greg Stanton. Congressman, are you there?
I'm here. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Congressman. Thanks so much for joining us. Just your thoughts on hearing today's news. All right. Arizona Congressman Greg Stanton. Congressman, thank you so much for the conversation, the time, and learning something new. Had no idea that there was a who's who of a conference with so many political heavyweights 20 years ago. All right.
Thanks so much. Have a great one.
Congressman, thank you very much. As we continue to follow this breaking news of President Joe Biden bowing out of the race for the White House, we are also following breaking news outside on the weather front as well. A live look at the Loop 303 at North Olive Avenue. In just the last few minutes, we were showing you blowing dust rolling in that area. Folks pulling over to the side of the highway there, slowing down as that dust was moving through the area. We're also tracking monsoon storms on this 12 News Weather Impact Day. This is video just into the 12 newsroom this afternoon. Look at this. Waves crashing for folks at Lake Pleasant. This is video sent to us by viewer Greg Irvin. Look at that. Obviously, those strong waves coming in, crashing those boats, throwing them against the shore there, and a lot of folks trying to get out of the water because of those high waves. We hope that everyone is safe out there and that no one has been put into danger as a result of that. But again, that video just into the 12 newsroom from Lake Pleasant this afternoon. As we mentioned, those storms are popping up right now, and it has been a very busy weather day as well. Meteorologist Stella Sun here with a look at where those storms are right now. Stella. Well, we decided to get more folks in on the conversation. Joining us right now is Stacey Pearson and Barrett Marson. Thank you both for coming in to talk to us about this very historic day in American history.
Well, thank you. Well, it should have been a historic day with Xander Schauffele winning the British Open. Instead, we had this interrupt.
Now at 5:30, we start this Sunday with a 12 News Weather Impact Alert. Monsoon storms slamming the valley this afternoon, bringing wind, dust, and showers. We tracked them live for you on air during our breaking news coverage this afternoon. Drivers along the Loop 303 near Olive forced to slow down, others even pulling off to the side of the highway as a dust storm blanketed the area. Meanwhile, this was the scene in Prescott this afternoon as heavy rain from those storms drenched that area. A big thanks to 12 News weather watcher Susan for sharing this video with us from her backyard. Tonight, 12 News has complete live team coverage on the 12 News Weather Impact Alert Day. 12 News Chase Go Lightly live inside of the 12 News weather tracker following the storms, but we start with meteorologist Stella Sun with a look at where those storms are popping up right now. Stella. Meanwhile, the 12 News Storm Tracker is out on the roads this Sunday, checking out the impacts of the storm for us in the West Valley. 12 News journalist Chase Go Lightly continuing our weather impact team coverage for us. Chase. The other big breaking news story we are following this Sunday night. After weeks of pressure to step aside from leaders in the Democratic Party tonight, President Joe Biden said that he will now end his bid for re-election. The announcement coming just months before Election Day. The 46th President of the United States breaking the news in a statement posted on X this afternoon, formerly known as Twitter. Joining me right now to discuss the political impact of this news is 12 News political journalist and Sunday Square Off moderator Bram Resnick, breaking down the president's decision. Long overdue for some folks, Bram. Weeks of pressure finally coming today. What do you make of it? We still haven't heard of, there are still a number of big names who have not thrown their support behind her quite yet. We're talking about Gavin Newsom of California, a very close friend of Kamala Harris, as well as former President Barack Obama. Any idea on when they could potentially come around? Welcome back, everyone, to 12 News at 5:30 this Sunday night. A live look at Phoenix Sky Harbor, where a ground stop there has now been lifted in the last 30 minutes. The FAA did issue that ground stop earlier this afternoon because of storms that were coming through the area. Also tonight, we are monitoring a number of other problems that we're seeing as well. This is also video from a viewer at Lake Pleasant. Look at this. The winds from those storms causing the waves to just crash into those boats. This video sent to us by viewer Greg Irvin. Hopefully no one injured out on the lake as that storm rolled through as well. We're also tracking a number of power outages as well. According to APS, some 19,000 power outages being reported across Arizona this Sunday evening. Let's get you ready for what's expected to come for the rest of the night. Meteorologist Stella Sun tracking where those storms are popping up right now on radar. Stella. We continue to follow breaking news tonight. President Joe Biden announcing that he plans to drop out of the presidential race. Biden giving his seal of approval to Vice President Kamala Harris to replace him as the head of the Democratic nominee for the ticket. As always, thanks so much for putting your trust in us. The news continues right now at 12news.com, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, and 12 News on social media. You can find the complete coverage at 12news.com. We'll see you back here tonight for 12 News at 10.
It's Sunday, July 21st, right now on 12 News at 10. It's a 12 News Weather Impact Alert Day. We're tracking monsoon storms slamming the valley with rain, dust, and powerful winds. Decision 2024 and a shakeup for Democrats in the race for the White House. President Biden announcing plans to step aside and pass the torch, ending his re-election bid. Plus, Arizonans and Americans now reacting to the president's decision, now wondering what comes next. We have complete team coverage on what you can expect in the coming days.
12 News at 10 starts now.
Now at 10 o'clock, we are following two big stories this Sunday night. First, President Joe Biden ending his bid for a second term, giving his nod to Vice President Kamala Harris. But first, we start with a 12 News weather impact alert. Strong monsoon storms slamming Arizona this afternoon. The storms bringing wind, rain, and dust. Drivers, look at it for yourselves. Getting caught in this dust storm near the Loop 303 in Olive. Some drivers forced to slow down, others making the wiser choice to pull off the freeway completely as visibility dropped dramatically in just seconds. Meanwhile, just down the street from the 12 News studios here on Van Buren in downtown Phoenix, take a look at this. Strong winds uprooting this palm tree. Traffic shut down for a short period just to get it cleared. This is the sound of rain this afternoon in Christopher Creek. Carrie sharing this video with us as storms rolled through that area this afternoon. The big question, what comes next in the coming hours? 12 News has live weather impact team coverage for you tonight. Chase Golightly showing us more of the damage caused by those storms. But first, we start with 12 News meteorologist Stella Sun with a look at where those storms are right now, what you can expect overnight as you sleep and as you head out the door first thing in the morning. See you in a few minutes. Thanks so much. Thousands of folks caught in those storms this afternoon over at Lake Pleasant. Strong waves crashing into several boats. 12 News journalist Chase Golightly continuing our live team weather impact coverage tonight. Chase, you got a chance to talk to some of those boaters impacted in some of those boats now at the bottom of Lake Pleasant tonight.
12 News.
Such a scary scene, Chase. Good to see that everyone was able to get out the water safely. Thank you. Our other big story this Sunday night, a political shakeup in the race for the White House leading to a historic day here in America. After weeks of pressure, today, President Joe Biden ending his bid for a second term in the White House and is now throwing his support to Vice President Kamala Harris. The move coming just months before the very critical November election. NBC's Kelly O'Donnell tonight has the very latest and what comes next. Welcome back, everyone. Let's talk about our weather impact forecast. A busy afternoon for us as monsoon storm slammed Arizona. Meteorologist Stella Sun here with a look at where things stand right now. A lot more quieter than just a few hours ago, Stella.
Yeah, a lot of us will be going to bed and the thunder won't be roaring. You can see here on Doppler radar that a lot of the shower and thunderstorm activity we saw earlier on in the afternoon in the dinner time hours, that is starting to taper off. We're still seeing some bolts of lightning as well as some thunderstorms rolling through portions of the Arizona-Nevada border as well as portions of southern Arizona, but that's going to continue to taper off as we move along through the rest of the evening and into those overnight hours. We did see some of those rain showers bring some of that rain-cooled air. So temperatures across the state, 59 degrees right now in Flagstaff, 58 in Window Rock, double sixes for friends over towards the Show Low area, and Phoenix, at least at Phoenix Sky Harbor, 91 degrees. But a closer look at the valley temperatures, mid 80s for Fountain Hills, Glendale, if you're in Sun City as well, low 80s towards Surprise, and it looks like we're still tracking some of the 90-degree temperatures towards Gilbert and Apache Junction over in the East Valley. They got a lot less rain compared to the West Valley, really just a retrace to less than 1/10 of an inch. Winds have also died down significantly. We're still seeing 8-mile-per-hour winds towards Apache Junction, 8 in Phoenix, but relatively calm to what we saw earlier on in the afternoon, upwards of 20 to 30, even 50 miles per hour with some of that blowing dust. Still tracking some of those winds in the teens if you're over towards Kingman coming from the southeast. Looks like 18 miles per hour, 17 towards Lake Havasu City. And we're also seeing some of those gusty winds in Parker coming from the east at 27 miles per hour. Let's get you prepared for tomorrow. The monsoon meter is a 2 out of 10 in the valley and for western Arizona. Northern Arizona and the White Mountains a 6 out of 10. Southeast portions of the state a 3 out of 10. Any thunderstorms that develop, it could bring heavy downpours of rain, flooding, as well as those gusty winds and blowing dust. Lightning is also a possibility and that potential for hail. So as we time out the rest of the evening, we're going to continue to see some thunderstorm activity just north of the Tucson area. But as we get into the late evening hours, things will really start to clear out across the state. But like clockwork, tomorrow afternoon, more showers and thunderstorm activity will continue to pop up, peppering the northern counties. It looks like across the White Mountains and portions of the Rim Country as well. By 8 p.m. tomorrow, there is a potential for the valley to get in on some of the thunderstorm activity, maybe some of those gusty outflow winds that could bring the potential for some blowing dust. But it's really just in the late evening hours, and then you can see here conditions will continue to clear in the overnight hours Monday into Tuesday. Hour by hour tomorrow, by 10 a.m., 96 degrees, already climbing to 105 as we approach the 2 p.m. hour. Temperatures tomorrow, high temps 111 in Phoenix with the chances for some of those rain showers. 85 degrees for our friends in Flagstaff, 87 in Payson and Show Low. Still seeing those piping hot temperatures for friends in Lake Havasu for tomorrow afternoon. Still seeing those 110s towards the Gila Bend area as we approach tomorrow afternoon. So a 20% chance for those rain showers and thunderstorms. And then on Tuesday and Wednesday, we are calling for a weather impact alert for about a 30% chance for showers and thunderstorms to sweep across the valley. We're going to continue to track the weather forecast for you, and we'll have more 12 News right after the break.
Guess what, folks? The Paris Games get underway in just 4 days. No shortage of fans looking to buy gear. 12 stores are opening across France. Items ranging from $5 to $900 with a giant plush made in France taking the higher end of that range. Don't forget, Tram Mai headed to Paris to cover the game. She's leaving first thing in the morning to head across the pond. Watch her reports on air and online at 12 News and 12news.com and on Today in AZ. As always, thanks so much for putting your trust in us. The news continues right now at 12news.com, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, and 12 News on social media. Make sure you start your day with Today in AZ, bright and early at 4:26. Have a good night, everyone. Sleep tight.